Well, we got a new project in. We got this 67 Chevelle here. A guy by the name of Gary Lee from Clarksville, Tennessee owns this. He's been waiting a little while to get in here. He's been able to come in and work. He's actually putting the dyno mat in here himself. Anytime I can get my customers involved with the builds and let them be a part of it, I like for them to know and kind of understand what's going on with this thing. This is going to be a really big runner. We've got we're not putting air, we're not putting heat on it. It's no power brakes. It's going to have power steering, but it's going to be over 500 horsepower, 383 stroker, 700 R4 transmission, linked up 12 bolt rear end underneath it. So this is just going to be tons of fun. This is going to stay the semi-gloss custom here, semi-gloss color, and you'll see this thing running around Clarksville some. So if you pull up beside it, you better be aware. But meanwhile, we're fixing to go back here and take a look at the Jaguar. I've been working on the frame and getting the frame straightened back on it. So let's go back and take a look at the framework that I've done on the Jaguar. All right, back here on my Jaguar. This Jaguar I built for Lee Scott, and he's in Springfield, Tennessee. He bought this Jaguar a long time ago, and it was disassembled in a million pieces. If you go back to some of my previous blogs way back, you can see where we've just been going through buckets of bolts and parts. It was taken apart and just thrown in boxes. There was a little bagging and tagging, but not much. So it's really been a puzzle trying to get all this together. When I started getting together, started fitting the bonnet, I realized that this corner was back about 4 millimeters and over to the side about 3 millimeters. So I had to devise a way to use porta powers and actually push this subframe back out of where it had been pushed into the body without damaging where you're pushing from. So I did some rigging and porta powering and pushing and beating and banging, and I got it back out of play, back to where it needs to be. But if you'll look on this diagram, if I can get a look here, you notice when these measurements, the rear measurements and the front measurements are disconnected. There's no measurement in between the two. So that makes it a little more difficult. But these cars are so hand built that they would build the body and then they would build this front subframe, and they would square this subframe up with this firewall, and the back was squared up to itself back there, and then they just shimmed everything into place. So it's a little different body moving and frame straightening than what I'm normally used to, but you can see here with my frame numbers, they take the first frame measurement off the firewall, so this is my first number. So to get that number, I've actually clamped this down the firewall and protruded it out each end. Then I've got a crossbar going across so that I can have the same point location as the firewall on the top and the bottom, and then I shoot that number out to the next number, which is at the front of this frame, this radiator frame right here. And I've got exactly 34 3/4 measurement here and there now, and then I have the exact measurement from here to the bottom, which is the same location as the firewall. And then in the center, I've run the center line down the center of the car, measuring it, and then I went back and checked it by leveling the frame, finding the center up here, dropping a plumb down, and it was just a reassurance that I was dead center. And then I can measure off of that string to my points, and I can also measure from the center out to here and the center out to there to make sure I'm square in every way. So my next move here is I'm going to set this bonnet back up here now that I know that this is in the right location, and then I'll just cut and shove the fit to make the bonnet fit from this point on. Before, I couldn't make this bonnet fit until I knew that this stuff was in its right location. When I found out it was a little bit off, then I had to move this, and now I feel comfortable in doing whatever I have to do to make that bonnet fit. So Gary Lee's supposed to be in here in a little bit, I hope, and get him to help me set this bonnet back up on here, and then we'll start making this bonnet fit. So just stay tuned and we'll build a Jaguar. Well, as I started inspecting my Jaguar engine, I got to noticing that a mouse had gotten into one of the water ports in the intake, and I found pieces of dog food and pieces of sunflower seeds, looked like sunflower seeds, some type of seeds, all in my intake. So I thought I could get all that cleaned out. So I took my compressed air and took all the freeze plugs out and blew all of it out the best I could. There's still a little bit in here now that I've got the head off. But once I got that out, I started rotating my engine. And after this engine been sitting for however long, it's been a long time, probably 20 years, I've learned to rotate that over real slow both ways. So as I went all the way one way, it stopped. Then I rotated all the way back the other way, it stopped. I got to find out what it was stopped on. It was a valve. A valve stem had stuck in the seat, in the guide, and so I went ahead and made the decision to pull the head off, and I've got the head sitting over on the table, and I'll give you a little closer look at what I've got going here. All right, if you look and see, I got this head off, and you can see in this water port there's dog food and some type of sunflower seeds, and they're all packed in there. Even though I've got my freeze plugs out and the freeze plugs out on both sides, they're still packed in there, so I'm gonna have to blow them out pretty good. But it is a good thing that I pulled this head off because of that being in there. And there's my timing chains, and I've pulled the cover off my transmission and looked inside of there to make sure that that's okay. And then over here is my head, and I found that it is this valve right here that is stuck, so I'll send that to my machine shop and have that checked out. So I am glad that I did pull the head off after it had been sitting for so long, and we'll get this at the machine shop and then put this motor back together and then see about getting it put back in there. Meanwhile, on Gary's Lee's Chevelle here, I have been able to get all the brake system in. I've got the headers on, got all the brake lines ran. I had to fabricate all the brake lines up, which is hard to do after the engine is in. Oh, my dogs are over there fighting, looks like. Inside here I've got my column in, my shifter in. Gary has been coming out doing his dyno matting. He's going to come out today and finish up his dyno matting and do some dyno matting in the trunk, up in the headliner. And that's where we're at on the Chevelle. We got loads of parts over here, all these parts on the shelves. It's like a big model car.